Slamdown is sponsored by BODYSLAM and Jam, and WWE SmackTalks and Impact Fan Nation. Welcome to another episode of Slamdown Livestream. Today we're going to be covering everything Raw. I'm not going to say this was the best Raw, but it wasn't the worst or best, really. You know, one thing I did comment is when they did the UK tour, the crowd was a lot louder. The crowd was more responsive. Here, Raw, the crowd was quite quiet. The only time I really hear the crowd really make some noise was when Roman Reigns was in the ring and when the Cruiserweight match was on. Now, when the Cruiserweight match was on, we did hear a lot of chants of "this is boring." Which brings me to a point. The Cruiserweights are lacking, but they have great talent, but I think it's more to the booking and the way it's used. If we flip this for a minute, if you look at the X Division, which at the minute is brilliant and growing rapidly, you compare that with the Cruiserweights, and I'm sorry to say it, Impact Wrestling does it better. And the thing is, the WWE have great wrestlers. You know, they've got Austin Aries, they've got TJP, you know, they've got Neville, they've got great athletes. Now, I don't know if it's the way they're used or if it is because they change everything purple, because there is a big disconnect with the fans. The fans are not getting into it. I don't like the whole 205 thing. I think the 205 thing is ridiculous. You know, I'm a strong believer where they should have moved the Cruiserweights to SmackDown and given them a better platform on there. I just don't think on Raw it's working. I would have rather seen the UK Championship on Raw, if I'm honest. But it's... How can you fix the Cruiserweight division now? If you've got ideas on how you can fix it, please comment. Would love to hear them. But yeah, it is lackluster. And I've got to admit it, even I get bored. I get bored of the matches, and I'm just like, yeah, okay. I don't watch 205 live because it's not great, and I just don't have the time. You know, I don't watch NXT either. I wish I had more time to watch NXT, but the simple fact is life gets in the way. That's why I only review these 3 shows, because that's all I can fit in. But there is something very lacking about the Cruiserweights. And I don't know if it's the lack of gimmicks, lack of storylines. But it also feels like the Cruiserweights are not really thought about. They're there as a filler, just to fill the gap. And a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this. I do feel like the Cruiserweights was brought in just to rival Impact Wrestling. Just to make sure, when Impact were working on the X Division, I feel like the Cruiserweights was brought there to sort of put down Impact. And the reason I more think that now than ever is with the whole Indian tour situation. With Impact Wrestling announced they're doing the Indian tour and doing tapings in India. Next thing you know, the WWE announced they're doing India. It's... you've got to look at it like that. I'm just trying to think is there any WWE news that I need to cover, which I don't really think there's any. We all know that Strowman is injured with his shoulder. Looks like he could be out for up to 6 months, which is annoying. Means we've got to part with more of Roman freaking Reigns. And now I'm going to clear something up. The problem is not Roman Reigns himself. My problem with Roman Reigns is the gimmick and the way he's used. Now, it annoys me that fans, I'm not going to say all fans, but a lot of WWE fans go, oh, Impact Wrestling thought it was closed by now. Oh, Impact Wrestling's rubbish. Oh, indie wrestling's rubbish. Which, in my opinion, is just stupid. And the reason it is stupid, because wrestlers get a lot more freedom on the indie scene. When you're in the WWE, you get scripted. You get told how to act, what to say. You don't follow the WWE script, they suspend you. It's a totally different ballgame in the WWE. Compared to Impact Wrestling in the indie scene, you get more freedom. You've got more freedom with your promos. You develop as a character. If you look at the wrestlers that have left the WWE and went on the indie scene, have become better. Look at someone like Cody Rhodes, who has drastically improved. Drew Galloway, he had a horrendous gimmick in the WWE. He left the WWE. He got more rounded, got better at promos. He improved on his moveset. And look, he's back with the WWE because he's improved so much. And that does remind me of a point that I did want to bring up in this show. Randy Orton pissed me off. The reason Randy Orton pissed me off was that tweet. There was no need for it. Because he was not just insulting indie wrestlers. He was insulting indie wrestlers in the WWE. That's insulting AJ Styles. That's insulting Samoa Joe. That's insulting CM Punk. Just because you might not like a style doesn't mean you can slag it off like he did. If he came out with a comment with, I don't like this dive and flipping style, or I don't like this indie strong style, fair enough. It's your opinion. But to slate it, I completely disagree with. And a lot of people have said that Randy Orton is an arsehole. Now I kind of believe it. People that have left have said Cena and Orton run the locker room. I totally believe it. I really do believe it. But I don't think it's such a good thing. I do think the WWE is in not a great shape at the minute. The reason I say it's not in a great shape is if you actually look at the booking, the angles, it's below par. The WWE can do a lot better with its talent. It's something I've been very vocal about, is the whole way they're using Kevin Owens now is absolutely freaking ridiculous. And somehow they've made Dean Ambrose look rubbish. it's like, how can they do it? Look at Roman Reigns as the biggest example. One thing we've got to accept is what Vince says and what Vince does is what Vince does. Our opinions don't matter. No matter what we say, they ain't going to listen to us. They run as a business. And we can either hate on the WWE or we can just roll with it. Now, the reason I watch the WWE is sometimes some of the matches, mostly it's because of who's there. Another comment I'm going to agree with, someone's just posted, with Goldust turning heel. I don't see the point. Why did he turn heel? I'm not being funny with Goldust heel. Goldust is a mid-carder. With the talent they've got on the roster, can't see him going for the Universal title. Can't even see him going for the US. Is it? No, it's not the US on Raw now, is it? It's the Intercontinental. I can't even see him going for that. So, what's the point? The only way I can see they're going with this is rivalry between him and R-Truth. But then again, after that's run its course, you've got really nothing else left for him. I think they should have just kept them how they were. Because, the only way they can make R-Truth good is a whole complete repackage of him. The reason I say a whole repackage is some people that might not know, when he was in TNA, he was a more serious character. He was wrong killings. He was a badass. Now they've made him into a complete joke. And I don't care who disagrees with me. He is a complete joke in the WWE. And it annoys the absolute crap out of me. Because I know what wrong killings is capable of. It's just annoying. It really is annoying. But this is, again, and I've been very vocal about this, the WWE seems to put people in silly gimmicks. Look at the whole fucking little Jimmy. What the fuck was that about? I still don't get that little Jimmy whole stick. That's my problem with the WWE. And people say WWE better with Triple H running it. I don't think so. I do think Triple H has got a bit of an ego. And I've said this before, Triple H does have an ego. It's, to be honest, it's either put up or shut up. But it's like I said, if you don't like what you're watching, if you're unhappy with the WWE, find something else to watch. There is so many alternatives out there. You've got Lucha Underground, you've got Ring of Honor, you've got Impact Wrestling, you've got WCPW, which is on YouTube and it's free to watch. So when people complain about the WWE, if you don't like the WWE, watch something else. I continue watching the WWE because I have hope. I really do have hope. But the only way I can see the WWE being better is when they've got a rival. So I'm hoping Impact Wrestling can rival the WWE. For the simple fact is, if Impact Wrestling starts creeping up and getting those good ratings and chases the WWE, you'll see the WWE get better. You'll see the WWE put on better matches, put on a better show to make sure they're not beaten by Impact Wrestling. That's why I say I'm hoping Impact can rival the WWE. Build the alternative and really push the WWE, because then the WWE will be better. You know, if you look when the WWE had WCW beating it, the WWE knew it had to be better. Someone said an interesting question, when I think Adam Cole will debut. I don't know. I know Adam Cole is left Ring of Honor, but we don't know where he's going. It's probably more likely WWE. I don't think it'd be in Impact Wrestling, but there's a possibility for it. It seems a lot of Ring of Honor talent is going to NXT and the WWE. But the thing that worries me, it seems like Ring of Honor are signing a lot of veterans, not a lot of new talent. And I think that's the way it's going to continue. Right, so let's go and dig into Raw. We saw General Manager Kurt Angle. I was a bit annoyed in the UK tour we didn't see Kurt Angle. I couldn't understand why he wasn't at Raw, but, you know. He announced that it was an Extreme Rules fatal 5-way match to determine who will challenge the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar. I quite like this. I quite like that I know they're still a PG product, but they're trying to push it a bit more. You know, we're going to have an Extreme Rules match, which will be a bit hardcore, but probably not too much. But in that match, we're going to see Roman Reigns, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt, Samoa Joe, Brock Lesnar. Now, this could be awesome. To be honest with everybody, I don't want Seth Rollins running it. I've seen Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. I want something else. I've seen Roman Reigns and Brock. I want something else. So that leaves Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, and Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt and Brock could be a good matchup, but I don't think it'd be great. I'd rather see Finn Balor or Samoa Joe going against Brock. I think Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar could make an awesome match, but same with Finn Balor. You know, they can even do it. I'm not even going to go reference because I can't remember the reference. But anyway, we can, you know, they can either go either or with that. And it's got potential to be a great match. Absolute great match. After that, we saw Jeff Hardy taking on Sheamus, which will probably lead up to a match at Extreme Rules with the Hardys taking on Sheamus and Cesaro. I still believe that this team needs to break up. I prefer them as single superstars. I would like Cesaro to be pushing for the Universal Championship. I think he's at that caliber, but I just don't think the WWE see it. It was a good, solid match. We did see Matt sort of be broken, but sort of not be broken. Next match kind of surprised me. Alicia Fox, Sasha Banks. Now, this was a surprise for me. We didn't see her with Noam Dar last show, but we saw her with Noam Dar this show. That's another thing. When they did last week, the UK show, I thought they would have had more of the UK talent on Raw. So, you know, I thought we would have seen Noam Dar perform at the O2, but he didn't. So we didn't see Noam Dar at all last week, but suddenly we see him again this week with Alicia Fox, and we see Alicia Fox getting the victory over Sasha Banks, which was a bit weird, especially when Sasha Banks is a better caliber of wrestler, and no offence, is a lot better than Alicia Fox. I don't think Alicia Fox is a great female wrestler, but anyway, we saw Alicia Fox get the victory. That was about it. After that, we had The Miz and Ambrose. Well, now, this was a good, solid match. Hopefully, this is going to lead a match between these two at Extreme Rules. I was invested in this match. I thought it was probably the better part of Raw. You know, we saw The Miz try to hit the low blow. Dean Ambrose caught it. And then when the referee was turned around, Dean Ambrose tried to kick The Miz in the nuts. The referee saw it. Dean Ambrose got disqualified for it. Now, this is where they could do it really well. Because it's Extreme Rules, it's sort of Dean Ambrose's realm. So they could be really clever with this. I would have Dean Ambrose lose, but I would make it an Ambrose Asylum match. You know, when he had the cage with... Oh, hang on, no, that's a rip-off of Lockdown. Oh, yeah, they have done that. But anyway, something like that. After that, we saw Bayley confront Alicia Fox, announcing that she's clashing in a rematch at Extreme Rules. And we saw Alexa Bliss beat her down with a cane. Right. People are going to hate me now. Is there any chance that Vince McMahon had a phone call from Vince Russo and went, Vince, we need a pole match. You haven't done it in a long time. Put something on a pole. I hate pole matches. I really do. You know, I've seen bum bag on a pole match, Canadian flag on a pole match, hockey stick on a pole match, suitcases on a pole. I've had enough. Please, no more poles. The only pole I want to see is a strip around it. But no, they're doing it. A cane on a pole match. Just, okay. Now, we did see Neville and TJP taking on Austin Aries and Jack Gallagher. Now, these are probably the top 4 in the Cruiserweights, and they were booed. Left, right and centre, they were booed. Now, that makes a big problem. If your top people are being booed, you've got to look at the division. I've said this so many times. They shouldn't have the ring purple. They should leave it red for Raw and just have the matches in it. But yeah, fans weren't enjoying this, and nor did I. We did see Neville and TJP get the win, but it was boring. Just like the fans were chanting boring. After that, we saw Roman Reigns taking on Finn Balor. Really wanted Finn Balor to beat Roman Reigns. Really did. But no. Roman Reigns wins again. And you can hear the crowd boo. They weren't impressed. I wasn't impressed. What is it why they keep putting Roman Reigns over? Can someone please explain that to me? For Christ's sake, Finn Balor is your babyface. Roman Reigns is your babyface. This was a perfect opportunity to turn him heel. Could have had the referee distracted. Roman Reigns could hit him with a chair and get the pinfall on Finn Balor. Make the fans going, holy shit, what the... They lose their shit. And then as Roman Reigns walking off the ramp, he can go, told you this is my yard. Or if Finn Balor was out the ring, he could have gone, this is my yard. There's your heel turn. Quick and simple. But no. We saw Golden in the Golden Truth. We saw the Golden Truth in the ring. Meant to be waiting for their match against the club. But then Goldust attacked R-Truth, beat him down, and he turned around and said, that's what's up. So they've turned around and they've made Goldust heel. Now, I don't understand this. I can't understand why they would have made Goldust heel. Because where'd you go from here? What's next for Goldust? What are you going to do with him? I can't see him going for the non-insult title. Can't see it. So, what else are you going to do with him? That's the problem. I think it was a bad move. But the crowd seemed to have enjoyed that, so we'll just have to wait and see. We saw Big Kaz taking it over on Titus O'Neil. Now, this was meant to be a bit of a funny stick. Where Titus thought Apollo Crews was taking on Enzo Amore. Where it turned out, it was Titus O'Neil taking on Big Kaz. And then you see Apollo Crews tell Titus, I told you, I told you. But we did see Titus taking the mick out of Enzo Amore. So, you know, using the can't teach that and stuff like that. But Big Kaz put Titus O'Neil on his arse. Enzo Amore went in the ring to try and take a selfie with Titus on the floor. Apollo Crews wasn't amused by that, came in, kicked Enzo Amore, and Enzo Amore got out of the ring. After that, we saw Seth Rollins taking on Bray Wyatt, which could have been a brilliant match. But Samoa Joe came in to beat on Seth Rollins. Then they both teamed up to beat down on Seth Rollins. Then Bray Wyatt hit Sister Abigail on Samoa Joe and stood over them and shouted, "Follow the buzzards." So obviously they're starting to push Bray Wyatt, which is good. But I just hope he's used in the right way and in the correct way. That's my worry. I'm going to have to say this week Impact Wrestling was better than Raw. I know people are going to hate me, but it's my opinion. I am interested to see what SmackDown's going to do. I really do hope SmackDown can pull it out the bag. We'll just have to wait and see. But it was average. I'm going to have to give it a D-, to be honest. And that's about it for this show. So we are back on air tomorrow, same time, 9 PM GMT, with SmackDown Review. And then on the Norm on Sunday, 9 PM GMT, with Impact Wrestling Review. We will be talking about Turning Point at some point. I've just got to find out when Charles wants to do it. So that will be coming soon. Keep an eye on Twitter for that at Slamdown Live. Don't forget to check out our website for all our articles at slamdown.co.uk. I've been your host, Ashley Friend. This has been another episode of Slamdown Livestream, and I'll see you again tomorrow.